really hard not to smile when you have a cow mooing before you kick
Love
off a
it.
podcast. So,
Love it.
Well, Melissa, thank you for joining me. Just to frame things up, let's start with you as a human. How did you end up into the role that you're at nbkc? And then explain how it fits into what you do as a part of the business.
Sure. Well, I'm a transplant to Kansas City. So I moved here about 14 years ago when I met my husband and had been in banking prior to that. Joined NBKC a little over 8 years ago to really start transforming our business to just a in-market local branch network to accept deposits nationwide. So serve consumers, small businesses, all across the country. We have a history of a nationwide mortgage business. And so we felt like it was just a natural progression for us to take that business there. And then we've also, my role at the bank is to lead our banking as a service practice, where we serve fintechs and brands who want to bring a financial product to market. So it's been a lot of fun and a lot of change over the last 8 years.
So my first unpacking follow-up question is, you make a strategic decision to expand the footprint in the banking world. As I've studied it, it's somewhat challenging to find point of differentiation. It almost comes more so on the customer service side and the validation of those that you work with, specifically when you're talking about businesses. How have you built the strategy on how you guys can break into new markets, or what have been the levers that you've really relied on?
Yeah, so I would say just historically as a bank, so we're celebrating our 25th year actually as a financial institution, privately held, again in Kansas City. And we have always been a pretty early adopter of technology. We've really deployed we're going to build it, buy it, or partner philosophy. And when I joined the bank, we sort of looked around our branch network and we said, okay, we're not going to win the guerrilla warfare of having branches on every corner. If you've been to Kansas City, you know there are a lot of strong brands here who have branches within a half mile of each other. And we just knew we weren't going to win that game. And so we just said, okay, let's figure out a way to bring what we believe is the right level of service to a digital audience, an audience of people who maybe don't know their bankers in the communities that they live in, are being maybe feed to death or nickel and dimed based on some long-term deposit strategy that the bank was trying to make a lot of fee income. And we just said, we feel like there's a market out there where we can be competitive from a fee and rate perspective and also provide a human relationship. I mean, if somebody calls the bank today or chats with us, they're talking to an employee at NBKC. They're not talking to someone at a call center. And so we take a lot of pride in that access.
So what does winning look like for you as you're laying out a game plan for a year? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's well, anybody who's on the deposit side of the house knows that it's it's been an interesting 18 months. Lots of deposits with the fleeing financial institutions for higher rate products. And so winning looks different depending on the category that you're talking about. But we know that if we stay true to being simple and transparent, so we have one business checking account that we provide, really low to no fee, some fixed rate services. Same on the consumer side. If we just stay true to that, make it pretty simple for customers to open an account with us and do business with us, leaning into that, we know will continue to achieve some success. And I mean, frankly, it's really the activation portion of a customer relationship. It's like what happens after someone opens an account that I think is the most challenging and also the biggest opportunity for us to continue to win. Get them on board, start processing payments, start using their debit card, things along those lines.
Have you found that, say a business owner, that some business owners look at a bank as a bank,
Yeah.
Some of them look at a bank as an advisory because the wealth of information that you can see across, hundreds and thousands of businesses. Do you see that that's part of that where the personal relationship starts merging with a business owner, that when you're creating this point of differentiation, it's because you actually care about their success and it's not just the transactional side of whether they're using you as a checking account?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, certainly relationship. If you were to, take a poll of 100 business owners, I'd say that they want to know who their banker is, right? It's like, who do I call if I need a thing? That's really hard to execute across a nationwide footprint. I'd say that we've seen a real shift in business owners. So, there's this wide range now where it's solopreneurs, people who have maybe, regular W-2 jobs. And then they say, you know what, I'm going to go make this thing, or I'm going to go create this thing, and I'm going to have this side hustle, all the way to these, to large corporations. And so all the needs vary across that spectrum. But I would say in general, consumers and business owners just want their bank to work, right? There's this notion of like, protect my money. If it works and it's not painful, then everybody seems fairly content. But it is important that they know who to call and can get a hold of somebody when they need something. And then there's the lending relationship changes all of that,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. Do you see a shift in businesses or humans willing to make a change when we're in more of a turbulent economy or in an election year? Like, is this the time that you guys almost work opposite of a marketing schedule, because now is the time to push down to get user acquisition?
Yeah, I would say historically, and this sort of aligns with people thinking about new year, new goals. So holding aside an election year, I think that we find that people are considering switches sometime at year end, like when fiscal year ends for them, right? So that's a common time for us to lean into people potentially looking for a different solution. I would say honestly, Nick, it's just so easy anymore for a consumer or business owner to go online and open a secondary account, sort of try it out, feel it out, like almost this notion of like, try it before you buy it kind of mentality. And so I think there is a point where we have to be comfortable saying, you know what, we'll be a secondary relationship for you, because there will be a time where maybe something gets too painful for them at a primary bank, or they just said, you know what, this is just so amazing, I'm gonna completely switch. But I mean, it is just not easy for individuals like us or businesses to just decide and move everything within a 5-day period, right? There's a long transitionary period that can occur. But I'd say we try to do the most of our acquisition around new accounts and new relationships in the first half of the year.
Have you studied how many interactions or how long it takes for a candidate on either side to convert from interested to now a customer?
Yeah, so we typically, I mean, you can open a consumer account with us in under 5 minutes. So, and a business account under 10. So with that, they can be an account holder very, very quickly. The notion of potentially moving primary relationship, I mean, for a consumer perspective, it could take upwards of 20 to 30 days. On the business side, it's can be 45. But we try to capture really and lean into when intent is highest with our relationships, because we know that they're engaged. If they're opening the account, they're engaged. Something is intriguing here, right? And so let's really get that relationship where they have the highest intent started, which is right away.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say from my standpoint, and our business has a lot of components to it. So we're not simple small business. But if I think through what are the triggers that have impacted us when we've made a decision, and there's been very few decisions made since our company was created in 2008. I think we've switched banks twice. But it did come down to a lack of transparency in fees that opened up the door for another, private wealth group to come in and say, this is how we can manage you on the private side for business.
Sure.
And so that transparency piece ends up being so critical. And the only other time it was turnover, because it's not that we have the relationship with the bank, we have the relationship with the person. Those are the only two times that we've looked at it. And you said like transparency and technology is part of what you're offering. And then I think from my standpoint, as I zoom out of where you guys are from a positioning standpoint, it's building take a gig economy or someone that's creating that new business that needs an account. It's building and standardizing your financial data from day one, so that if you do grow this, or even just purely for paying taxes, you're collecting the data in a smart way, so that when it comes to having a point of view on what do you pay or what do you get or where do you go, it's all logged there. So those are my comments as obviously an outsider thinking.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, your comments are real and accurate because you live that. I mean, you're a business owner, you understand what it looks like, and everybody has different points of importance depending on the cycle of their business, right? Starting in 2008, it was like, okay, we need an account, right? We need to be able to pay employees. We need to be able to transact business normally as any business would. And then as you grow, those needs change. And I mean, honestly, like I think sometimes one of the biggest challenges and traps banks get into is trying to be everything to everyone. I would say that we're going to be really good at the things that we can be, and we're not going to try to compete in areas like for example, we're never going to bring a QuickBook alternative to market, right? QuickBooks does a really good job at what they do. And so they're just things we're going to lean into that we think can be of value. And we have a real listening philosophy too, which means that we're constantly garnering feedback from our clients and new, existing, and even clients that have left us to just really understand like what we can do better from a product perspective, from a technology perspective, and really anything else in between.
What's your sweet spot customer target?
Yeah, what's
their persona?
Yeah, I would say we are firmly in the small. We serve the solo entrepreneur to the medium-sized business really well. If we had a corporate customer who wanted all kinds of unique money movement services, we'd probably struggle a little bit providing those. But I mean, you need to pay someone, we can help you with that. You need to pay your employees, you need to transmit wires, like all the things that you would expect that a general business would need. We can do all of those things.
I'll tell you what I love most about your positioning from a website standpoint is the tab that says talk to human. I think that's it's such a cool thing just to come out and say. And frankly, we've done a lot of work in the banking segment on how do we actually find a customer and get them in from an acquisition standpoint. And every bit of research that I've done is just a small little point of differentiation is all that it takes. And then when you add human to that, I think that's what people want. They want, like, we still can think back to when our probably our grandparents would walk to the bank with their checkbook to take coins out. Like it's still there. Things have changed,
Well, and I'd say I don't want to have any misconceptions. We don't get it right all the time, right? I mean, like but we're constantly evolving and saying like, what does this look like for us to serve our customers all across the country? So we've made changes to our hours, made those more accessible to each coast that we serve. And so really just trying to understand how we can meet our customers where they want to be met. We're also not product pushers. Like, we want to be consultative in the things that we have, but this isn't about you having every knit and gnat with us. It's about us really being able to provide value around servicing and then product set. So yeah.
Well, and look, you can say that your city's won more Super Bowls since you've moved there than mine has won in the last 40 years. So
no, I would have loved to have seen a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. I grew up in Michigan, so I was really hoping that was going to happen, but here we are. I mean, I guess we'll just have to have another Super Bowl ring here.
I love it. Well, Melissa, thanks for sharing some of your story. Obviously, we do these conversations just in case someone's doing their homework and looking to just tie a human back to what a business is. And I appreciate you sharing some of your story with us today.
Thank you, Nick, for having me.
Yeah, of course. For Melissa, I'm Nick. Thanks for watching.